Yo, what's up, my kings and shit? Nah, saying. I just come back from watching Black Panther, the movie, and I was pleasantly surprised. That film was actually pretty good. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. No joke. That was a pretty good film. The story was pretty immersive and quite interesting. The actors were certainly good at their job. They certainly pulled it off. I can only think of one actress that I thought was slightly out of character. The younger sister to the King T'Challa. She was supposed to be some kind of genius slash inventor, and the whole time I was thinking she just comes across as a bratty little sister who's immature. But at the same time, when I say that, I'm not saying that I didn't like her character, because I actually did like her character. Her character was fine, but what I'm saying is, it just didn't fit the part. She didn't seem like she was an inventor. She didn't come across as intelligent. She came across as childish. That's the only way to describe it. And I would say that the best parts of her character was that she was kind of funny and kind of makes you laugh. And that's really where her strength was. But her strength is supposed to be that she's this genius and inventor. Okay, so I don't know what happened there. Somebody didn't quite write a certain kind of. I don't want to say that she should fit into a box of being a nerd by default, but she needed something. She needed to come across strongly as somebody who took knowledge as their inspiration and would relay knowledge in a way that you would think, oh, this is an intelligent person. They certainly seem to be somebody with a special ability to use their brain that others don't particularly have. I mean, that's what you would think with a genius. You think a genius should come across as someone highly intelligent in their demeanor and in the way they speak to you, but no, instead what you get is a little kid that acts like a little kid. It's weird. So anyway, apart from that, the acting was superb. The film was superb. The story was superb. I praise it. I praise it like I praise the sun. Praise Keck. Or maybe they wouldn't praise Keck because apparently that's a white supremacy symbol, according to the ADL, which goes along with every other symbol in existence. Now, one thing I do want to bring up is, while I'm trying to emphasize some kind of positive side to this film, I want to talk about what I thought was incredibly racist about the film. And I'm not talking about perhaps one thing that may come up in a much broader sense to a much broader audience over time with the whole monkey chanting thing. There was a lot of strange moments in the film where I thought, why are these black people acting in a certain way that normally, if anybody said that black people act in a certain way, they would be called racist? And one part in particular was when this tribe that wears a monkey mask started actually going and acting like monkeys, and I was thinking, is this supposed to be progressive as well? Because I don't really get the progressives' narrative. They always seem to flip-flop on everything, but I'm sure this one is one that they normally think is offensive. But here it is in a film that they've been praising, so how does that work? But what I want to really talk about is the racism towards white people. See, the thing with this film is, for whatever reason, and he didn't need to do this, it wasn't necessary, they tried to use the tropes of the black supremacist rhetoric. And you see this right away at the start of the film, where there is a narration about how a meteorite came down and crashed into Africa, and it had this mineral to which I forget the name of because I've only seen the film once. Vibranium? That'll do. So vibranium is in the meteor, and this allows them to get the advanced civilization and shit. Nah, saying it gives them that the rest of the world doesn't have at the time. And the part where race comes into it, although it's not explicitly stated as a racial thing, is when Andy Serkis, who is clearly the number two best actor in this film, next to, in my opinion, Michael B. Jordan, he's the number one. Andy Serkis, the white guy, he is what's the name of the guy? The whatever the name of the king is, the original king before the Black Panther. At the start of the film, the king says that Andy Serkis is trying to steal the vibranium, and that right away is where a red flag was raised for me, because you see that basically when you go to the Wakanda side of the story in the film, what you've essentially got there is, and I really mean this, I'm not using exaggerations, you have an ethno-state there. They're all black. And one of the lines I thought was really interesting is that when the Black Panther was speaking to one of his friends about maybe bringing in refugees and people who needed help, his friend said, if we let in refugees, they'll bring their problems with them, and used that to persuade the Black Panther not to let them in. And I was thinking, wait a minute, this is what the West has been saying about a particular religion for a very long time, and every single time somebody brings up, maybe we shouldn't let these truck drivers in, the left goes crazy and says, oh my god, how truck phobic you are, just how dare you say such a racist, bigoted, xenophobic thing, you white supremacist Nazi. But here in this film, that's praised by that same crowd, you've got this guy who's saying, maybe we shouldn't let in people of other cultures and races into our advanced civilization and shit. Nothing. So I thought that was very interesting. Even more so that the person who's trying to infiltrate their ethno-state to steal from them is a white man of all men and all races. And right away, that is why it was a red flag, because later on the film reinforces it. There's a CIA agent or an FBI agent, I can't remember specifically which one he is, because like I say, I've only seen the film once so far, who's on their side and helping them. And basically, at one point in the film, he gets shot, and the Black Panther takes him to Wakanda, the ethno state, and they use their advanced technology and shit to help him survive his wounds. And the immature genius girl, who's kind of cute by the way, she's got a cute face, she basically refers to him as a colonialist. That was a tongue twist I just had there. A colonialist, right? So that to me is spelling out what red flags are in this film about what kind of race baiting narrative there is. You have what appears to be the black supremacist dream of having an ethno state that is highly advanced and is xenophobic, and white people are the threat to this ethno state because white people will want to steal their technology and shit, and white people are colonialists, so you don't want them in your ethno state because they'll try and conquer it. So that's in the film, and I'm not making anything up. Go watch the film if you have any doubts. It is interesting to me that there is a lot of hostility towards the politically charged ethno-state group, the alt-right, from the far left who've been praising this film, and a lot of the scorn that the far left gives to the alt-right is for their the way that they revile the idea of an ethno-state and are so pro-diversity, but this film is amazing for them because the ethno-state is black, and as per usual they're demonstrating that same double standard that they have, you know, where it's like everything white people do is bad, everything black people do is good, even when the two do the exact same thing. You know, it's that same double standard. And it just, to me, it just cries an artificial attempt at trying to virtue for themselves. You know, it's fake. It's like when white people want an ethno state, that's racism. When black people want an ethno state, that's totally cool because I'm not a racist. And you know, it's just so fake. The whole thing around this film with people lifting it up onto some kind of pedestal and acting as though this is something really special, uh, in particular for racial reasons, amazes me to a certain extent because the story is everything that I think that an alt-right person would love, with the exception of the skin color. If you made every person in the film white, this is a pretty cool white nationalist story. I don't know what the difference is anymore between a white nationalist and a white supremacist, so I'll say white nationalist. But if you painted their skin white and it was the exact same film with the exact same story, they'd love this film because politically this is where they lean. And yet the white liberals who constantly use racism against white people love this film just because they're black. It's crazy and stupid, frankly. Anyway, the other thing I thought was interesting about it was that there's basically a division of ideas between T'Challa, the king, the Black Panther, and Michael B. Jordan's character. I think he said his name was Killmonger, but it might be Coalmonger or whatever. I don't know these characters because I don't follow these stories normally. But basically, the Black Panther thought that what he should do with his kingdom and his technology is try and help the world. And what Killmonger wanted to do when he beat up Black Panther and became the king, long story short, to become king in Wakanda, you just have to beat up the king and then you become the king. It's basically a monarchy, and it's also a patriarchy, which I thought was interesting. It really is a patriarchy, so I don't know why the feminists love it. Now, basically, what Michael B. Jordan's character wants to do is he wants to fight back against the colonialists, coded language, meaning white people, and use the advanced technology to dominate the world. Now, he eventually loses because he's the bad guy in the film, which is fine. And T'Challa, when he wins at the end of the film, he speaks to the UN and exposes his culture to the UN and creates an outreach to different parts of the world. But the way that they portray it is he only actually makes an outreach to blacks. They start with Colorado, I think it is. I don't know America very well, but one of the places that they go to is a distinctly African ethnic ghetto kind of African homogenous area in America, and that's his first outreach. So even then it's like, well, I suppose that is a kind approach to trying to help the rest of the world with your advanced technology and shit, not saying, but this is somebody who's trying to be specific to helping blacks, quite clearly, because they don't even make the effort to try and make it out like he's trying to be diverse with his help. So again, why do white liberals praise this film? I mean, I get why black supremacists praise the film. I even barely mentioned them because I get that a lot of things that go on in this film would be perfect for them. But white liberals, this doesn't make any sense. What are you loving about this film? You people are crazy and fake. Anyway, I'm pretty much done with this. The film is racist because it uses racist narratives about white people trying to steal from basically African civilizations, and that white people are colonialists and that makes them evil, and that basically the underlying message of the film is that if white people had not interfered with Africa, you would have had these advanced civilizations and shit. Nah, saying. And frankly, the whole film, in that specific regard, is just dumb. But in regards to just telling a story, it's perfectly fine. I don't think that this film needed to be racialized at all, because the story was good enough not to be racialized. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The last thing I want to say is the way that people in the real world are reacting to this film, and I'm going to use Rotten Tomatoes, the movie critic website, as an example here. The way that people are acting as though any kind of criticism of this film is racism, because it must be coming from the alt-right white Nazis, is just dumb. Because the film in itself is already race baiting. So the film itself is already racist to a certain extent, not completely in whole, but in parts. And I think that this fake, this artificial attempt by white liberals to act like this is the greatest thing in the world, it's just immature and racist. There's no reason to celebrate this film like it's an accomplishment purely on the basis that there's lots of quote unquote diversity in it, when really what they mean by diversity is 95% black. There's 2 white men and 1 white woman in the whole film. That's it. And the white woman dies instantly. Yeah, spoiler alert for the 100th time. So, I liked the film. I didn't like the racism. You can watch the film. It's not going to offend you. I doubt it very much. If you're on the right, that is. If you're on the left, I don't know. I don't care. Leftists are acting really weird these past few years. But that's it. Knock yourself out. Go and enjoy the film. Don't enjoy the film. Do what you like. See you guys later.